There was a bush at the very edge of the water. Harry threw himself behind it, peering desperately through the leaves. On the opposite bank, the glimmers of silver were suddenly extinguished. A terrified excitement shot through him. "And moment now. Come on," he muttered, staring about. "Where are you? Dad, come on." But no one came. Harry raised his head to look at the circle of Dementors across the lake. One of them was lowering his hood. It was time for the rescuer to appear, but no one was coming to help him this time. And then it hit him. He understood. He hadn't seen his father, he had seen himself. Harry flung himself out from behind the bush and pulled out his wand. "Expecto Patronum," he yelled. And out of the end of his wand burst, not a shapeless cloud of mist, but a blinding, dazzling silver animal. He screwed up his eyes, trying to see what it was. It looked like a horse. It was galloping silently away from him, across the black surface of the lake. He saw it lower its head and charge at the swarming Dementors. Now it was galloping around and around, the black shapes on the ground, and the Dementors were falling back, scattering, retreating into the darkness. They were gone. The Patronus turned. It was cantering back towards Harry across the still surface of the water. It wasn't a horse. It wasn't a unicorn either. It was a stag. It was shining brightly as the moon above. It was coming back to him. It stopped on the bank. Its hooves made no mark on the soft ground as it stared at Harry with its large silver eyes. Slowly, it bowed its antlered head, and Harry realized. "Prongs," he whispered. But as his trembling fingertips stretched towards the creature, it vanished.
Welcome, everyone, back to another episode of Covenants and Kingdoms. I am your co-host, Brad, along with...
Hi, I'm Nathan. Good to see you today. Thanks for joining us.
No, we are not going to be doing a reading of the Harry Potter series.
Even though that would be fun.
That would be fun. That was a cool story. Thank you for that. But we'll get into why that's relevant to our subject matter. But first, as always, we are brought to you by Baba Java Coffee, located in Birmingham, Alabama. We are a local specialty coffee roaster with 3 cafes in the area. So if you're looking for great specialty grade coffee that has an impact on the farmers all along the supply chain, all the way to your cup, come check us out. You can also go to babajavacoffee.com if you're looking for beans for your home. And you put in the promo code Covenants at checkout, you'll get 10% off your order.
And if you order 100 pounds of coffee, Brad will deliver personally the coffee to your door riding on a Patronus stag.
Okay, why am I always the one that Matt needs to do some deliveries here. Or is he just he's too busy editing again?
I'm doing the ones in Orlando.
Oh,
So if you order from Florida, anywhere in Florida, Matt will deliver it on a Patronus stag. 100 pounds of coffee.
Well.
Order your 100 pounds today, and
That's right.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, seriously, do it because I want to see it.
We will be on location when somebody actually does that.
Yes, definitely. We will.
Maybe I'll order 100 pounds myself just to see it happen.
Oh man, too funny. Well, Nathan, there's no good segue from that.
So. No, there's not. So Jacob is starting the second Exodus as he is about to leave Laban, or that's the story we're at today, Genesis 31. And we call it the second Exodus because the first Exodus is Abraham when he comes to Canaan.
Yeah,
that's the first Exodus. The second Exodus is Jacob coming back, and then the third Exodus is the most famous Exodus. So we'll talk about those as we come to them. But this is the story of the second Exodus, Jacob returning with all his family and all his children and all his wives and all the things, coming back to his homeland.
So Jacob has left, gone.
Not yet. He's about.
No,
to leave.
I mean he's come and to find a wife.
Yeah.
Ended up finding 2. He got tricked. The trickster got tricked.
The trickster got tricked.
And we noted that it was because of basically no communication between any of them.
No communication. There's a predilection for those family traits.
Yeah.
Deception is a family trait. It started. I mean, his wife, his mother.
Yeah.
helped him. He deceived his brother. His mother helped him deceive his father, Isaac, and his uncle deceived him basically the whole time, trying to trick him the whole time. So it's a family, finagling and tricking. It's a family trait.
And, it's just a great example of God just uses all types of different people to fulfill his plan.
Yeah.
Which is great for us.
Yeah, it's great for us. Yeah. Thank you, Lord. So Jacob's going to be fleeing.
Yeah.
It's another exodus from Laban. There's wealth deception. There's competing claims. There's a chase. Okay. And then right in the middle of it, we talk about this weird scene where Rachel steals her father's idols, the Teraphim. Okay. And we'll talk about what those are and why that's significant. Okay. His household gods, the Teraphim.
Yeah.
And that's where we got the Harry Potter story, because those are patronal gods.
Ooh.
Okay. Those are called patronal gods. Those are the family gods, the ones that protect you as a household. Okay. And so we have a little bit of paganism in Harry Potter. Back when Harry Potter was first coming out, and I was a late child, an older child, not like a teenager yet, but as the books were first coming out, I was an older child in my childhood years. And, I'm in a pretty conservative Baptist church. My dad's super, super conservative. And we were not allowed to.
No.
They were evil. The books were evil, satanic, demonic, full of witchcraft and wizardry, and they were going to lead us into the occult if we started reading those. Now, and they're fun.
Of course.
She didn't write them in order to deceive people into the occult. They're supposed to be fun books, and they are. It's dark. They're dark, but they're supposed to be fun for kids. But as we see, there are bits of paganism in it. That's this Patronus that he calls upon.
Yeah, exactly.
Is
divination.
It's not, according to the Lord, we're not supposed to be doing stuff like that. So here, this is not a Christian book. She's not a Christian person. But so they're fun. I don't think it's leading us into the occult, but we got to be careful. Of
course.
But Rachel steals the patronal household gods. And so that's part of the story. Are they idols, inheritance documents, family relics? Are they instruments of divination? Maybe all of them, some of them. We'll talk about through some of those. And then at the climax, Jacob swears by the fear of Isaac. What does that mean? It's a weird way. We don't see it anywhere else really in the Bible, the way he swears by the fear of Isaac. We talk about fear of the Lord and things like that. So it's just a weird way of phrasing it that we don't see anywhere else. So we'll talk about what that means. There's been discussion about that for, thousands of years. So we'll talk about that. So through it all, we'll see it's still the covenant of the Lord is still, the threads of the covenant are still throughout this story. So let's talk through some of this as he goes from his exile to Mesopotamia, makes the second exodus into his homeland 20 years later. Okay, so let's read Genesis 31.
Now Jacob heard that the sons of Laban were saying, Jacob has taken all that was our father's, and from what was our father's, he has gained all this wealth. And Jacob saw that Laban did not regard him with favor as before. Then the Lord said to Jacob, Return to the land of your fathers and to your kindred, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah into the field where his flock was, and said to them, I see that your father does not regard me with favor as he did before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I have served your father with all my strength, yet your father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times. But God did not permit him to harm me. If he said, The spotted shall be your wages, then all the flock bore spotted. And if he said, The striped shall be your wages, then all the flock bore striped. Thus God has taken away the livestock of your father and given them to me. In the breeding season of the flock, I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream that the goats that mated with the flock were striped, spotted, and mottled. Then the angel of God said to me in the dream, "Jacob?" And I said, "Here I am." And he said, "Lift up your eyes and see. All the goats that mate with the flock are striped, spotted, and mottled, for I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and made a vow to me. Now arise, go out from this land and return to the land of your kindred." Then Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, "Is there any portion or inheritance left to us in our father's house? Are we not regarded by him as foreigners? For he has sold us, and he has indeed devoured our money. All the wealth that God has taken away from our father belongs to us and to our children. Now then, whatever God has said to you, do." So Jacob arose and set his sons and his wives on camels. He drove away all his livestock, all his property that he had gained, the livestock in his possession that he had acquired in Paddan Aram, to go to the land of Canaan to his father Isaac. Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole her father's household gods. And Jacob tricked Laban the Aramean by not telling him that he intended to flee. He fled with all that he had and arose and crossed the Euphrates and set his face toward the hill country of Gilead. When it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob had fled, he took his kinsman with him and pursued him for 7 days, and followed close after him into the hill country of Gilead. But God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream by night and said to him, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." And Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country, and Laban with his kinsmen pitched tents in the hill country of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done, that you have tricked me and driven away my daughters like captives of the sword? Why did you flee secretly and trick me and did not tell me, so that I might have sent you away with mirth and songs, with tambourine and lyre? And why did you not permit me to kiss my sons and my daughters farewell? Now you've done foolishly. It is in my power to do you harm. But the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, 'Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad.' And now you have gone away because you longed greatly for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods?" Jacob answered and said to Laban, "Because I was afraid, for I thought that you would take your daughters from me by force. Anyone with whom you find your gods shall not live. In the presence of our kinsmen, point out what I have that is yours, and take it." Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent and into the tent of the 2 female servants, but he did not find them. And he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them in the camel's saddle and sat on them. Laban felt all about the tent but did not find them. And she said to her father, "Let not my lord be angry that I cannot rise before you, for the way of women is upon me." So he searched but did not find the household gods. Then Jacob became angry and berated Laban. Jacob said to Laban, "What is my offense? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? For you have felt through all my goods. What have you found of all your household goods? Set it here before my kinsmen and your kinsmen, that they may decide between us 2. These 20 years I've been with you, your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried, and I have not eaten the rams of your flocks. What was torn by wild beasts I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it myself. From my hand you required it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. There I was. By day the heat consumed me, and the cold by night, and my sleep fled from my eyes. These 20 years I have been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been on my side, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. God saw my affliction and the labor of my hands and rebuked you last night." Then Laban answered and said to Jacob, "The daughters are my daughters, the children are my children, the flocks are my flocks, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do this day for these my daughters, or for their children whom they have borne? Come now, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between you and me." So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. And Jacob said to his kinsmen, "Gather stones." And they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jegar-Sahadutha, but Jacob called it Galeed. Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me today." Therefore he named it Galeed and Mizpah, for he said, "The Lord watch between you and me when we are out of one another's sight. If you oppress my daughters, or if you take wives besides my daughters, although no one is with us, see, God is witness between you and me." Then Laban said to Jacob, "See this heap and the pillar which I have set between you and me? This heap is a witness, and the pillar is a witness, that I will not pass over this heap to you, and you will not pass over this heap and this pillar to me, to do harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us." So Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac, and Jacob offered a sacrifice in the hill country and called his kinsmen to eat bread. They ate bread and spent the night in the hill country. Early in the morning, Laban arose and kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then Laban departed and returned home.
So, next episode we'll talk about Genesis 32. That's the more famous, where Jacob's wrestling the man, whoever that is, and we'll talk about what that means.
Oh, it's WrestleMania.
It's WrestleMania. WrestleMania.
One or negative
one.
How many every year?
Negative whatever. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But Genesis 31, there's no Genesis 32 without Genesis 31. So let's talk about that. It's not just just a travel narrative. We're going to work through some of these things. So through the covenant, through discipleship, we're going to talk about obedience, separation, spiritual identity, spiritual formation. We're going to look at it through the A&E lens. We're going to emphasize the angel of Yahweh, because we see that here too. Divine authority across territories, cosmic territorial power and sovereignty, and how that works in the Bible. It's really weird. We don't understand it because we don't have that concept now, because we're in the new covenant where all those Elohim are under his feet. They're once and for all. Christ has authority over them now. So we don't understand that he has authority over everything now. The story's over. It's like the end of any of those any of the great wars where it's over. We're just kind of cleaning up everything.
Exactly. There's
right?
a few battles left to fight.
Right. So let's. That's where we are now, and so it's hard for us to understand the cosmic geography. So we'll talk about some of those things. Okay. Okay. So Genesis 31, 1 through 13. So it opens, and Jacob hears that Laban's sons are saying, "Jacob has taken all that was our father's." Then we are told something important. Jacob saw that Laban did not regard him with favor as before. Okay. Why is that? Well, Jacob has all the good stuff.
That's right.
The Lord has blessed him, and he's given him all the good things, and Laban gets all the bad things. So there's jealousy.
For sure.
Laban was the patriarch of this family, okay? But Jacob has become greater. The student has become greater than the master. So he's jealous, okay? So then in verse 3, then the Lord said to Jacob, return. Okay, does this sound kind of like the first Exodus? Go, lech lecha, go, return to the land of your fathers and to your kindred, and I will be with you. Okay? Jacob doesn't leave because conditions got uncomfortable. It wasn't because of the family relationship necessarily. He leaves because God commanded him. God said, return, go. And he did. So again, he's reemphasizing the covenant here. So the promise that was given to Abraham, remember the Abrahamic promise was the covenant was those three tiered, right? The land, the seed, and the blessing, right? All those things. So this cosmic geography, this covenant geography that the Lord is bestowing upon him, we don't understand it fully, okay? It's revealed a little bit at a time throughout the Bible, and we'll talk about it as we go. But this cosmic geography, this covenant geography that the Lord has bestowed upon them, he has to go back, and the Lord tells him that. So he goes, he obeys. Okay, this shows us something foundational. We have to obey before the Lord fulfills exactly what he wants to. Okay, the Lord's will is going to be accomplished. Yeah. Period. Yeah. Are you going to be part of it? That's it. And in order for you to have that blessing from it, we have to obey. Okay, so that's what Jacob's doing here. All right. He's afraid of Esau. When we get to 32, we'll talk about that more. None of that stuff has changed. Esau said next time he saw him, he would kill him. And so Jacob, that's always kind of in the back of his mind. We'll talk about that in chapter 32. God says go, and to fulfill that covenant, from Jacob's part, he has to be a part of that. What the Lord's gonna accomplish, he obeys. So he does. All right. The angel of God in the dream. Now we move to verse 11. Jacob recounts in a dream. The angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob. The angel of God.
I think we've seen that before.
Hamalech Elohim. The angel of God. Hamalech Elohim. Okay. And Jacob said, here I am. All right. Then this angel of God, Hamalech Elohim, says, I am the God of Bethel. All right. So this is a theological statement here. The angel says, I am Elohim Bethel. This is not just a introduction, okay? So this is not just the angel saying, my name's Earl, or whatever, right?
My name's Earl.
That'd
be a weird name for the Lord.
This is him saying, I'm Yahweh. I am that I am. I am this deity. I am Yahweh. I am the physical manifestation of Yahweh.
Yeah,
that's what he's saying. So this figure is again, we talk about this all the time. But if you can't see God and his glory, the full Yahweh, and live as a man, right? Not in the norm and not in the physical state we are now. So in order for him to experience relationship with us, he has to give up a little bit of himself and become this physical manifestation. Okay, so he's not the full glorified, deified Yahweh, right? He can't be, because we would die. We would melt like Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? So he makes himself in a form so that he can experience a relationship with us. Okay, so he makes himself this physical manifestation, and that's the second Yahweh. We've talked about so many times before. Scholars call the angel of Yahweh theological pattern, where we see this all the time. I mean, we talk. Heiser's really big on this. So, visible, embodied, divine melech, messenger, but also the presence. Okay, remember his name's in him. His presence is there. So he speaks as God. He identifies as God. He exercises divine authority. So, and we'll see this again in Genesis 32 in several places. This is the God who appeared at Bethel. This is the God who met with Abraham and ratified the covenant with that cutting the covenant, right? Yep. He's the one that passed through the spirit form. He's the one that passed through the cut animals. He's the one that ratified the covenant. All right. He's the one that watched all these things. He told, he again ratified the covenant with Isaac, Jacob's father. and then he's going to ratify it with Jacob also. Okay, so this is part of him becoming the covenant, exercising this same covenant with Jacob through Abraham and Isaac, and now it's going to go through Jacob. Okay, he's been there all along. He appears physically. He manifests himself physically in these different forms at these different times. We're going to keep seeing that over and over again. So the Lord blessed him again, just because he said he would bless him. So his earthly prosperity was part of that, but the ultimate blessing we know is a spiritual blessing, is what Paul says in Galatians. Okay, that Abrahamic blessing is not just the physical blessing; it's also a spiritual blessing. Yeah. Okay, which is what Paul tells us in several of his writings. Okay, so Jacob recounts the history with Laban. So he endured for 20 years. He endured heat and cold. He basically lost all of who he was and became a servant of Laban, right? Working for Laban, for his daughters, for his family. He worked as a kind of a slave, Yeah. I mean, he worked for free, just to be taken care of, basically, so he could have a family. That's what he did. That's not just. That's not a normal dowry that you get, right? That's not what you normally have to do.
No.
Okay. I don't recall any other story where you have to work 7 years for someone as a slave.
No.
To marry their daughter. So he really wanted a family.
Wait, y'all didn't have to do that?
I would have. For Wendy, I would have, but that's not normal. No. And it wasn't even normal back then.
No, it wasn't.
So his wages were changed repeatedly. We talked about that. That's injustice.
Yeah.
All right. That's not the plan of Yahweh. That's not the plan of God. He is a God of righteousness and justice, right? So when you change wages, when you make them do things that aren't normal, you exploit them, that's injustice. And that's what Jacob was oppressed. I mean, he was. But in verse 12, the angel, this Melech Elohim, Hamelech Elohim, says, I have seen all this injustice that Laban is doing to you. Okay? This is, him saying, I'm going to make things right. I am the God of justice, and I will make justice happen upon you. Okay? God has observed this injustice, and he is going to do something about it. Okay? So the breeding strategy, we talked about that last time, that really interesting story, the striped and spotted animals. It's not some superstitious mumbo jumbo like what we talked about. Okay? He knew the animals. Jacob knew the animals, and he knew the Lord revealed to him exactly what to do. So there was like this divine revelation along with, it wasn't science necessarily, but he knew about the breeding, and he knew the animals, and he knew what to do exactly. And we talked about how that could have been those things that he put in front of them. They would eat it, consume it, and it will make them healthier. We talked about those things. It made them breed better. It made their coats better. It made all their reproductive systems better. So, it was all just not science like we know it, and there's no scientific method or anything like that involved in it. He didn't study animal husbandry. He didn't study biology. He didn't know any of those things. They didn't do that. They just knew from experience what to do and what not to do. Okay, he transferred the wealth, just like with Abraham, just like with what's going to happen in the Exodus. He transferred the wealth from the ones that are oppressing to the ones that are oppressed. It's justice.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, this is not a socialistic, communistic thing that I'm talking about here.
I was about to say, you better get some comments.
No, that's not what we're talking about. This is God doing it. It's not us deciding ourselves, hey, we're going to take away from this guy and give to this guy.
There's a difference between the justice of God and the justice of man.
There's a lot of difference. Okay, so that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm not advocating any kind of ideology or anything
Marxist
like that.
Nathan,
right?
you heard
Listen, I'm the most capitalist person in this city probably. So. Anyway, this is God reversing an injustice, and he is transferring wealth from Laban to Jacob. He revealed something to Jacob that wouldn't have happened necessarily before. Jacob could have used his knowledge of animals and things like that to make it a little bit better, but God revealed even something more. So anyway, this was God reversing an injustice. Okay.
Yeah.
So this faithfulness, Jacob kept working. He kept going. He kept one foot in front of the other every single day for 20 years. and this faithfulness under oppression was seen by God. All right. He believed in the Lord. He was in the midst of paganism. He still believed in the Lord. Okay. He didn't prosper because of anything he did. He prospered because God was covenantally committed to him. All right. This blessing happened upon him because of God, not because of anything Jacob did. Now, Jacob was faithful to obey. Again, so it's faith in action. Okay, we talked about that. We're not getting into James today, but
that's what that book's about.
It's about faith in action. It's not necessarily saying you have to, Jacob, we're not talking about works lead to salvation because we believe it's faith alone, right? Grace through faith alone. But when we put our faith in action, the Lord blesses it somehow. Yeah. All right. We don't understand that, but that's what's happening here with Jacob. Okay. Remember, he's not Israel yet. He's about to be in chapter 32, but he's Jacob right now, Yaakov. Okay. So from ancient A&E perspective, the fertility life cycle is attributed to local gods, but here Yahweh demonstrated his sovereignty over the fertility and economy, just like what we talked about last time. This is territorial theology. This is cosmic geography. Okay. Yahweh is not limited to Canaan. Okay. So he exerts his authority even in a place where he's not the local God, right? And even in Canaan, He's only the God of where Abraham is, right?
He's one of many.
Only Abraham and his household are the only ones that really worship Yahweh at this time, right? Yeah. So he doesn't even have this divine authority there in that land, right? But he's sovereign over all of it because he created all of it, right? So he's exerting his sovereign authority even in a pagan land here with Jacob, all right? Now we come to this really weird story about the Teraphim, okay? So
that word Teraphim, how is that broken?
Those household gods.
That's what it means.
That's what it means.
So Jacob arose and set his sons and his wives on camels. He drove away all his livestock, all his property that he had gained, the livestock in his possession that he had acquired in Padan Aram, to go to the land of Canaan to his father Isaac. Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole her father's household gods. And Jacob tricked Laban the Aramean by not telling him that he intended to flee. He fled with all that he had and arose and crossed the Euphrates and set his face toward the hill country of Gilead.
Okay, so we're gonna see that Laban's looking for these gods later. We'll talk about that later. But what are these things? Okay, so I'm going to read this. The findings of archaeologists in Mesopotamia and adjacent areas indicate that the possession of the Teraphim images had a bearing on who would receive the family inheritance. According to one tablet found at the Nutsi, this Nutsi tablet, it's a very famous tablet, the possession of the household gods could under certain circumstances entitle a son-in-law to appear in court and claim the estate of his deceased father-in-law. Okay? Wow. Perhaps Rachel, with this in mind, reasoned that she was justified in taking the Teraphim because of her father's deceptive dealings with her husband Jacob. The importance of the Teraphim with respect to the inheritance rights could also explain why Laban was so anxious to recover them, even to the point of taking his brothers with him and pursuing Jacob for a distance of 7 days' journey, in verse 19 to 30. We'll get to that. Of course, what Rachel had done was completely unknown to Jacob, and there is no indication that he ever attempted to use the Teraphim to gain the inheritance from Laban's sons, Jacob, and had nothing to do with idols. At the latest, the Teraphim would have been disposed of when Jacob hid all the foreign gods turned over to him by his household under the fig tree that was close to Shechem. We'll get to that in Genesis 35. Okay, that's really important what he does there. Okay, so it could be these. Okay, well let's talk about what these are first. They could be household idols. Okay, like gods that like what we said, patronal type gods that we worship and put our faith in, and we expect them to protect us, like Harry Potter did. Yeah, that's what happened. The Dementors were chasing Harry Potter, right? And he called on his Patronus, and the Patronus came and took care of the Dementors.
I mean, you see it in little. If you've seen on TV, maybe if you're listening, you know someone who has these. If they're Hindu, they have those little idols in their home that they worship every day. So very same thing like that.
We in this culture and throughout the ancient Near East especially, we see them venerating family ancestors also. Oh, yeah. So it's possible that these were images of ancestors that they would, again, this is what Harry Potter was. He thought it was his father's Patronus. Yeah. And so it was his father and his patron. You know, if you read the Harry Potter books, you know what that means later when it's revealed. But he thinks it's his father's Patronus here, his ancestor that has died, that he's expecting to come and protect him. So the same type thing. These ancestral spirits, we and in Hebrew, that's a really important point of why they're not supposed to worship ancestral spirits. Okay,
right?
Those that have passed on. We talked about the Ovrim before. Okay, the Ovrim, the word Ovrim, it means those that have passed over, right?
That's right.
Okay. So that's different from so there's two words that are real similar. We've talked about this before. We'll talk about it again. The Ovrim, well, we talked about it in Deeper Waters, I think.
Yeah.
Ovrim is like it means those that have passed over. So the word Ivrit, the Hebrew. Okay.
Word for Hebrews.
Ivrit. That means like the word for Hebrews, the word for the language Hebrew. It means those that have passed over. So the people, when
specifically talking about the Red Sea, or
we were talking about the Jordan River. They passed over from one land to another. So when you have an Exodus type situation, those that have passed over. So these are talking about these Western Semitic peoples, and the Egyptians we called them Ivrim. They called them those that have passed over. These Ivrim, they passed over. So. That's what Hebrew means. So they also called these Ovrim, these ancestors. It's the same root, similar to that. And what it means is our ancestors that have passed over, passed from the living to the dead. Yeah. That's what it means. Okay.
Makes sense.
So they would worship these Ovrim. So these could be Ovrim. Okay. They're Teraphim, but they could be a specific kind. They could be ancestral idols, which are patronal idols, like what we talked about in the Harry Potter.
Had those.
Yes,
his
he did.
wife and his son.
It was prevalent throughout. Greek culture, Roman culture, ancient Near East culture. It was prevalent throughout the whole area at the time.
The subcontinent of Africa. I mean, it's just all over.
Yeah,
I mean, we live there. I mean, we saw it all over, and they would mix it with their Christianity or even with their Islam.
Yeah,
worshiping their ancestors plus.
Yeah. So it still happens today in other places. So if you can imagine those type things that we see, this could be. I think a lot of scholars think that's what these were.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, they could be symbols of inheritance rights. Again, that ties into the patronal gods. Okay, if there's symbols of inheritance rights, like what we just read in that excerpt that we read from ancient Near Eastern texts, they could be legal tokens of family authority. Again. They could be made with some kind of precious metals. That might be one of the reasons why Laban wanted them back. If they're made of gold or silver or something precious, it could be that also. So not only are they're household idols that are protecting them, they could be inheritance rights, like what we read about in that excerpt from that scroll we talked about. It also could be the legal tokens of family authority, and they also could be made of something precious. Yeah, they could be worth a lot of money, and so he doesn't want to lose, $100,000 worth of gold,
of course,
or whatever, right? So this means Rachel's action may not simply be like this superstition. It could be like it could be strategy for her too.
Gotcha.
Taking possession of these Teraphim could mean that she's taking possession of the leadership of the family. Okay. Or they could be worth $100,000 and she's just stealing them. I mean, we don't know exactly, but spiritually, we always like to spiritualize everything. Of course, this is what we do.
Well, that's a spiritual book. So
yeah, okay. It is. So if we're talking about covenant, the covenant aspect of it, even while leaving exile, these idols, we're still holding on to these patronal idols. Okay, Whether it's because of a legal strategy, or it's just because they're worth a lot, whatever, they're idols.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we're worshiping these false Elohim or Overeem or whatever they are. Okay, so she is still she's still called. Oh, it's almost that syncretism that she's working on here. She's part of Jacob's family now who worships Yahweh, right? Mm-hmm. But she's still holding on to that kind of the old pagan ways still a little bit. All right, and we're going to see Jacob reconcile. Jacob does something about that later in chapter 35. Okay, so we can worship God externally, but we can still hold on under the saddle. Are idols, right? Yeah. So spiritually, this is Rachel still holding on to those things, all right? So God confronts Laban, all right? So he flees from Laban. He takes everything. He goes away. Then what happens? Let's read that section.
When it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob had fled, he took his kinsman with him and pursued him for 7 days and followed close after him into the hill country of Gilead. But God came to Laban, the Aramean, in a dream by night and said, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad."
Okay, so, I mean, Laban is an idolater. He's pagan, right?
Yeah.
So, he's not somebody you would think that Yahweh would come to and talk to, right? Okay, so Laban pursues Jacob. He gets mad. Why? He gets mad because he left. Yeah. Now, why is he mad? It doesn't give us the reason that he's mad. So what are some possibilities of why he's so angry, right? One, he still wants to control Jacob. I mean, he's controlled Jacob for 20 years and oppressed him, right?
Yeah.
So when you're oppressing someone and exploiting them, you don't want that to end, right? Mm-hmm. It's the whole reason there was a civil war in the U.S., right? The economic advantage that the southern plantations had by using free labor were so great, they didn't want that to end, right? Of course. It was all about economics. It was all about money, okay? So they didn't want that to end, and they're willing to fight a war and die over it. They wanted that economic advantage so bad, they're willing to die, right? So it's the same type thing. When you're exploiting someone, he's got free labor here. He doesn't want it to end, right?
Heck no.
So he's made, even though Jacob has prospered more than he has, he's still prospering. Jacob still is prospering Laban too, because he's getting part of all those flocks too. And he sees the Lord's blessed him, and so he's mad. Plus, he takes all his, your daughters and grandkids are suddenly gone. You didn't even say bye to them. I would be upset too if somebody just took my kids and left without telling me. I mean, I would be mad about that.
Of course. Another
aspect is those idols. All right, we're going to see that was part of why he's mad too later. All right, he wants to see, because again, whether it's all those reasons we talked about, or if it's just they're worth money, whatever it is, he's mad because they were gone. All right, but the Lord comes to him, right? God came to him in a dream. Be careful not to speak to Jacob neither good nor bad. Okay?
But Laban doesn't obey.
Well, he doesn't.
I mean, to me, if I'm reading that, I'm like, well, just don't say anything.
Yeah. Just go say bye,
Yeah.
Just go say bye, and then that's it.
But Laban doesn't obey.
So the Lord, exerts his sovereignty even over a pagan.
Yeah.
And we see that sometimes. The Lord, we see Muslims that have dreams and, God revealing stuff. I mean, again, to Abraham. Abraham was idolater, a pagan idolater, and he called him. Okay. Yeah. So he does this because, if he didn't speak to sinners, then
nobody would be saved.
Who's he going to call? Right? There's nobody left. So he commands Laban to not say anything good or bad. And that's been debated too, what exactly that means.
What does that mean? Yeah. I'm sure there's something lost in translation there.
Yeah.
From the Hebrew.
Yeah. So we still don't know. It's been debated for a long time. But again, most scholars think it just means you just go and say bye.
Yeah.
You don't say anything one way or another about all the other stuff. Because I've commanded him. The Lord wants Jacob and his family to go. Yeah. That's his will.
It's almost like God saying, hey, you don't want to do this,
right,
buddy.
Right. I know you're mad.
Yeah.
I know you're angry, and that's understandable. I mean, sure, every single human would be mad about that situation. But
This is my guy.
This is my guy. you got to back off. All right. Yeah, it's like you have a dispute with someone, like a deep-seated dispute with like two lieutenants of a mob boss.
Oh, man.
Have a dispute with each other. All right. But the boss, so one of them's planning to kill the other one, planning to knock him off, right?
Yeah.
But the boss comes.
The Godfather comes in.
Yeah. I know you want to make him an offer he can't refuse, but you have to back off in this circumstance. Capiche?
Man, that was spot on. Bravo. Bravo.
So,
And the guy's like,
but Godfather, he killed my sister.
he took my cannolis. Anyway,
But Godfather, I will do what you say.
no offense to our Italian American friends. We love those movies and cannolis.
Yeah, of course. So anyway, that's what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And he still, I mean, he dials it back a little bit, right?
Yeah.
He's not like, I'm gonna kill you.
No, that's true. That's true.
Who's the only person that says anything about killing is Jacob.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. All right. So again, in A&E, we have these territorial markers where the gods stay in these territories. All right.
Yeah.
The Ammonites, this is their god. The Moabites, this is their god. The Egyptians, these are their gods. The Hebrews, you can have, Yahweh can just stay right here. That's your territory. God doesn't listen to that. Because he's sovereign over all of it.
Yeah.
So he even goes to Laban. He goes to wherever he called Abraham out of Mesopotamia. He's sending Jacob back from Mesopotamia. He's blessing the sheep in Mesopotamia because those gods don't have authority over him. He has authority over them, right? So he can do whatever he wants to. All right. So from a human's perspective, Jacob probably did the wrong thing. Right?
By just leaving.
By just leaving, not saying anything.
Yeah,
not doing it the right way, right?
Yeah.
We would think that would be doing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
If my kids did something like that, I would be like, you're not doing things the right way.
Correct.
But here's the difference. The Lord told him to do that. So he told him to go, and he's like, okay, we're going. So that's what he did. Okay.
Yeah.
So, there's this tension.
Of course.
Right? This human versus spiritual. You got to do what's spiritual. You got to do what the Lord says first. Okay? All right. So from a theological perspective, this shows us that divine sovereign that the Lord has divine sovereignty over all nations.
Yeah.
Right? From a covenant perspective, this reinforces divine protection over covenant heirs. Okay, his will be accomplished. Jacob's not protected because he's like, really strong.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an army. He doesn't have a lot of people. He's got a bunch of women and kids, right? Him and his wives and his kids. That's pretty much, and his sheep. That's it. He's protected because he's chosen. He is the heir.
Yeah.
Right? He's going to be Israel.
Yeah.
That people that God calls out from Mesopotamia, right? That's who he becomes.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the Laban comes. Let's read that part. Laban finally makes it down there.
And Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country, and Laban with his kinsmen pitched tents in the hill country of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done, that you have tricked me and driven away my daughters like captives of the sword? Why did you flee secretly and trick me and did not tell me, so that I might have sent you away with mirth and songs, with tambourine and lyre? And why did you not permit me to kiss my sons and my daughters farewell? Now you've done foolishly. It is in my power to do you harm, but the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. And now you have gone away, because you longed greatly for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods?" Jacob answered and said to Laban, "Because I was afraid, for I thought that you would take your daughters from me by force. Anyone with whom you find your gods shall not live. In the presence of your kinsmen, point out what I have that is yours, and take it." Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent and into the tent of the two female servants, but he did not find them. And he went out of Leah's tent and into Rachel's. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them in the camel saddle and sat on them. Laban felt about the tent, but did not find them. And she said to her father, let not my lord be angry, that I cannot rise before you, for the way of women is upon me. So he searched, but did not find the household gods.
So Laban, they are in a hurry. I mean, they overtake him.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, Jacob has all his stuff, so
He's got kids with him too.
Yeah, he's got kids and flocks and things like
Yeah.
that. So it's slow. It's slow go. You know, he's just slowly going. But Laban, he's got his guys, and they're going.
yeah.
Okay, it's kind of like in Lord of the Rings when
that's right.
when they're trying. I mean,
The Uruk-hai are carrying the hobbits.
The Uruk-hai have the two hobbits and Aragorn and Gimli and Legolas are like, they are booking
Yeah.
it. They can't catch up to the Uruk-hai because Sauron's whip is behind
right.
them, right?
That's right.
So, but finally, because of the Rohirrim, they that killed all the Uruk-hai, they finally overtook them. So,
Yeah.
but they were going.
They were.
The Uruk-hai they were just a bunch of army guys too. They didn't have children and stuff. If they had children and flocks, then Aragorn and Gimli and Legolas would have overtaken them.
Listen, if you've ever tried to walk with a small child, it takes forever.
Forever.
Because they're like little puppies. They got to stop and look at everything and play with everything. And
oh my gosh, nightmares of having to carry Laylee all the way through Petra. Through Hezekiah's tunnel, all the way, and all the places in Israel.
Yeah.
I mean, every single place we would go.
She would want to be held.
We had to carry her, and she weighed a ton. She was big. She was really big. I mean, she was like 2 and 3, and she was like the size of a 5-year-old.
She was
humongous, and we had to carry her. Wendy and I just took turns, and I mean, it made us buff. I mean, you know.
That is true.
Oh, just nightmares. Anyway, yes, you're right. Going anywhere, children is slow. Going anywhere with animals is slow.
Yeah.
You know, they do what they want, especially sheep and goats and stuff like that. So, anyway, Laban overtakes them. They had pitched their tent in the hill country, and Laban with his kinsmen pitched tents in the hill country of Gilead. Mm-hmm. So between where Padan Aram are, kind of in the northern part of where the northern part of Mesopotamia, they come east to west. They come west to where the modern nation state of Jordan is, and between Jordan and Israel, there's hills. There's, you know, they're not huge mountains, but they're hill. You know, they're mountains, but they're, you know, hill mountains. You know, not the huge like Himalayas or anything like that. But there's hills, the hill country. So they have to pass over a couple of different areas of hill country to get there. So it's probably the one between in like where northern Jordan would be. All right.
Gotcha.
So they're there and they overtake them. I mean, it takes a while, especially for, you know, if you have animals and kids to go over mountains. So they easily take them. Okay. Laban said, what have you done? Have you tricked me and driven away my daughters like captives of the sword? Is that good or bad? Does that sound like he's saying something good or bad? It sounds a little bit bad.
It doesn't sound good. Yeah.
But he is just expressing himself. It's not like he's berating him. Later in the next section, it says Jacob berates him because he's mad.
That does. Yeah.
But Laban, he's just expressing himself. He's mad and he's just expressing his anger. You know, why did you flee secretly and trick me and did not tell me so that I might have sent you away with mirth and songs and tammering and lyre?
He'd been throwing a good go on away party.
Yeah,
basically.
mirth and I love it when somebody sends me away with mirth and songs.
I love it. Yeah,
tambourines and lyres. If I ever go away and y'all throw a big party,
there'll
for
be
me,
a lot of mirth.
I want mirth and songs,
so much
tambourines
mirth.
and lyres. I want the most mirth, all the mirth. I don't do a good Donald Trump impersonation, or I would do a
a lot of mirth.
Lots of mirth. The best mirth, the greatest mirth. My mirth's best mirth.
That's so funny.
Anyway, and why did you not permit me to kiss my sons and my daughters farewell? Now you have done foolishly. It is in my power to harm you. Now, is that a threat? It's kind of a veiled threat.
A little bit, yeah.
So that's a little bit bad. He's not obeying the Lord necessarily. That's a threat. You know how much harm I could do to you right now?
Yeah.
Do you know what I could do to you right now? But the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. And now you have gone away because you long greatly for your father's house. He's like, okay, I understand. You want to go home. But why did you steal my gods? So we get to it.
Yeah.
It's a very Middle Eastern way of getting to the point.
Very much.
Hey, you know what? All these other things, you talk about the things that, and then eventually you get to your point.
Yeah.
About what the heart of the matter
Right.
is. The heart of the matter is, I'm mad that you took my daughters and all the stuff. Yeah, I wanted the mirth and stuff, all that stuff, whatever. That's bullcrap. Why did you steal my gods?
Yeah.
That's what I'm mad about. All right, that's why I'm here. Right? Jacob answered and said to Laban, because I was afraid and I thought you would take your daughters from force by me. Anyone with whom you find your God shall not live.
Because Jacob didn't know.
Because Jacob didn't know. He hasn't, he would never take the gods because one, they're not his. He doesn't steal. Okay.
Yeah.
Number two,
He worships
Yahweh.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to worship those Teraphim. Okay. So anybody that has these Teraphim, they'll die. In the presence of your kinsmen, point out what I have is yours and just take it. And Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we get to this section where, Laban goes into the tents and looks for his idols.
He does. But didn't find them.
So he went to Leah's tent. He went to Jacob's tent. Now that's a little awkward.
Yeah.
Goes to Jacob's tent. Again, Jacob's showing a lot of restraint here. Sure, go find it. If you see it, take it. Goes into Jacob's tent, he goes into Leah's tent, and the other wives, concubines, but he didn't find them. And he went out of Leah's tent and went to Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the gods and put them into the camel's saddle and sat on them.
And then
Laban felt all about the tent, but didn't find them. And she said to her father, Lord, please, the way of woman is upon me. Yeah. She knows exactly what to say so that the man will be like, oh, okay. No, don't want to know about that.
Fake's being on her period. Yeah. I guess she really could have been, but it didn't seem that.
I think she's just lying.
Again,
the whole, there's deception, lying. The whole family is built on that.
Yeah.
But she knows what to say, whether it's true or not, to get him out of that tent. Yeah. I'm so sorry, I'm on my period. Whoa.
No, I ain't touching that.
La, 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 la. I'm out of here.
Yep.
And I have 4 daughters.
Yeah.
So, la, 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 a lot. Right. So he's out. He's like, yeah, I ain't going there. Then verse 36. Let's read through 42.
Right. Jacob became angry and berated Laban. Jacob said to him, what is my offense? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? For you have felt through all my goods that you have found. What have you found of all your household goods? Set it here before my kinsmen and your kinsmen, that they may decide between us two. These 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried, and I have not eaten the rams of your flocks. What was torn by wild beasts I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it myself. From my hands you required it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. There I was. By day the heat consumed me, and the cold by night, and my sheep fled from my eyes. These 20 years I've been in your house. I served you 14 for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been on my side, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. God saw my affliction and the labor of my hands and rebuked you last night.
Okay. So he is mad. He still doesn't know anything about the gods. He has no idea Rachel stole them, right? So he's mad. You've searched through everything. You oppressed me, you've cheated me, you've lied to me all this time, and for 20 years you've done this to me, and I'm just going home, and now you're accusing me of stealing stuff? And then we hear this if the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been on my side, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. Now, God saw my affliction and the labor of my hands and rebuked you last night. Okay, this is the first time we see that fear of Isaac. We're going to see it later in the chapter too. We'll talk about it more when we see it later in the chapter. Okay, so, all right. So then Laban's like, answers. They're in an argument here.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about what Laban says. Verse 43. through 50.
Laban answered to Jacob, the daughters are my daughters, and the children are my children. The flocks are my flocks, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do this day? For these my daughters, or for their children whom they have borne. Come now, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between you and me. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar, and Jacob said to his kinsmen, gather stones. And they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jegar Sahadutha, but Jacob called it Gilead. Laban said, this heap is a witness between you and me today. Therefore he named it Gilead. And Mizpah, for he said, the Lord watch between you and me, and we are out of one another's sight. If you oppress my daughters, or if you take wives besides my daughters, although no one is with us, see, God is witness between you and me.
So they make a covenant, and so they set up this stone and pillar. They make a covenant. They're about to have a covenantal meal, so they make a covenant between them, all right? So they're trying to reconcile. Laban still doesn't get it.
No.
This is all my stuff.
Yeah.
But let's make a covenant, because he sees it. He knows he's wrong. I mean, you can see it. You can, this is all my stuff. I'm right, except for, okay, but I'm so generous. Let's make a covenant between us. He knows he's wrong in his heart. Okay. So anyway, so they do. They set up these stones and the pillars, this pillar of stones. Okay, and they, in their own language, they call it, the Gilead and Mitzpah, the covenantal language that they use here for the pillars of stones, the witness.
What do we think? What was the language that Laban spoke, do we think?
Like a type of Aramaic, like Proto-Aramaic, like early, he spoke, it's a Semitic language.
Yeah, I'm
he's
sure.
He's a Semitic person. Yeah. But it'll probably be similar to like Proto-Aramaic.
Okay.
Before, not the first century Aramaic, but the ancient Aramaic.
Gotcha.
Type thing. So anyway, they do that, and they make a covenant. Verse 51, they keep going with this.
See this heap and the pillar which I've set between you and me. This heap is a witness, and the pillar is a witness, that I will not pass over this heap to you, and you will not pass over this heap and this pillar to me to do harm. So this is Laban saying this to Jacob. The God of Abraham, the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us. So Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac, and Jacob offered a sacrifice in the hill country and called his kinsmen to eat bread. They ate bread and spent the night in the hill country. Early in the morning, Laban rose, kissed his grandchildren and his daughters, and blessed them. Then Laban departed and returned home.
Okay, so they make this covenant, and then again at the covenant so the way it works, we've talked about this before. They cut a covenant. They heaped these stones. They swore on them. They had these vows that they exchanged between each other, and then at the end they swear on their gods. Okay, so Laban says, the God of Abraham, the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us. Okay, so Jacob doesn't swear. So he's swearing by different gods. Laban is here, right? Okay, he's swearing by Yahweh, but he's also swearing by the God of Nahor, the God of their father, whoever that is. Judge between us, right? Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac.
It's in at least in the ESV, the word fear is capitalized. I'm sure there's a purpose behind that.
So let's talk about what that means. Okay, we'll park here for just a minute because it's weird. Okay, what is the fear of Isaac? Okay, so it in ESV, like you just said, it's capitalized. Okay, and the fear of Isaac is translated by the ESV as a name for God. However, some other translations don't capitalize it. It almost reads as if Jacob's dread of Isaac's anger was instrumental in his success or some such thing. Is the fear of Isaac a title, a name for God, or is it something else? What does that mean? Okay, let's talk about that just a little bit. So Elohei Avi, Elohei Avraham, Ubachad Yitzhak. Okay, so that's the Hebrew, right? For 3142. In the Septuagint, it says, Hoteos tu patros mu Abraham kai hophobos Isaac. Okay? So it's a little bit different than 53. Okay, so that was 42. Remember, we heard that he's talked about it earlier. Okay. וישיבה יעקב בפחד אביו יצחק. אביו יצחק. Aviv Yitzhak. Okay? And then Kai, Homosan, Jacob, Kata, Tut, Fobu, To Patros, Autu, Isaac. So most of the discussion we have here is from the Jewish, like the rabbis. Okay?
Yeah.
Most of the Christian commentators stay away from this stuff for some reason. Okay, so we got most of the stuff is from, so it could be a divine epithet. Okay, so some of them say it's like the parallelism with God of Abraham with the phrase in Genesis 31:42 and the subsequent action in 53. Why would Jacob swear on his father's emotion? Right? I mean, it's, to us, fear is an emotional type state, adjective. Right? The question remains that is this a reference to Isaac's deity, or is it? Or to Isaac's experience or posture before his deity, right? Is it a divine epithet? Some of the commentators make the case of the parallelism within verse 42 and 52 of the God of Abraham with the phrase, the fear of Isaac. Okay, most commentators don't think it's a divine epithet. Okay, the phrase pachad, Yahweh, or equivalent, is found numerous times in the fear of Yahweh is found numerous times in the Hebrew Bible. And so too of humans, okay? The fear of Mordecai and Esther, okay? So in these cases, however, the phrase conveys the fear produced by the figure named, not the fear experienced by them, okay? Pachad seems consistently to be used of terror induced by rather than terror experienced by, okay? But there are two substantial technical articles of the phrase. Both reject the novel suggestions for the meaning of pachad to maintain the traditional understanding of terror or fear. Okay? So some people still hold to the divine epithet. Okay? So let's see. When pachad is used in a phrase, it consistently means fear induced by, and this sits uneasily in as not a divine epithet. Okay? The oath in Genesis 31:53 would be odd if it's not sworn on a deity, right? It doesn't seem like it because that's what they do. That's what they do. While there are considerations in favor of the epithet understanding, not much can be marshaled against it necessarily. Okay, so we have these instances of it. Okay, so he didn't say the God of Isaac because the Holy One. This is from the Rabbi Rashi. Okay, talking about the fear of Isaac. This statement. He did not wish to say the God of Isaac because the Holy One, blessed be he, does not associate his name with the righteous while they are alive. Although he said to him upon his departure from Beersheba, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac, since his eyes had become dim and a blind man is like a dead man. Jacob was afraid to say the God of and said, and the fear of. That's what Rabbi Rashi says. Okay? So, and again,
I mean, I kind of see it as just being, to me, it seems like the word fear is just a replacement for God. I mean, it could be because Isaac had a fear of God, maybe. But I see what he's saying about since Isaac's still alive. I don't know.
Okay, and here's another excerpt. It is not a divine epithet, name of God, but a reference to the test of Abraham. This is one person saying it's a test. It's a reference to the test of Abraham concerning the Akedah, the binding of Yitzhak. This is from a Jewish source. And the fear of God that he had when he submitted himself to be bound on the altar. For instance, we read in Shemot, and all the people who saw the thunder and the lightning and the sounds of the shofar and the mountain smoking, and when the people saw it, they were shaken and stood far away. And they said to Moses, speak with us, and we will hear, and let not God speak with us, lest we die. And Moses said to the people, fear not, for God has come to test you, and that his fear may be before your faces, that you sin not. Okay, that's from Exodus 20, right? The successful conclusion of the Akedah takes place when the angel declares that Abraham's fear of God has been established. Okay, remember back when we talk about the binding of Isaac, the sacrifice of Isaac, and the angel of the Lord called from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham, and he said, here I am. And he said, lay not your hand upon the lad, nor do anything to him, for I know that you fear God, seeing that you did not withhold your son, your only son, from me. We can see from Genesis 31:24 that Laban was tested by God not to speak anything good or bad against Yaakov, yet he accused Yaakov of stealing his household gods. Here, Yaakov chose to swear by the fear of God out of respect and honor of God and in honor of his father. In Yaakov's case, he took Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, with a vow, but only having a God consciousness. For the Lord will, then the Lord shall be my God. Here, Yaakov is on the verge of seeing that vow fulfilled. If he is successful, then Hashem, that they use Hashem instead of Yahweh, right? The Lord God will be his God. The phrase fear of Isaac is merely a euphemism for the fear of God, which should always be before our faces, as was with the case of Yaakov. Okay, this is Rabbi Hirsch, Samson Raphael Hirsch. Pachad Yitzchak is not a name for God, but references a dread moment of the Akedah when Isaac felt the knife already drawn in his throat. It's the zenith of the moral perfection which Isaac achieved, which, come on, that's bullcrap.
Yeah.
So, it's not necessarily a divine epithet, but it is like saying fearing God. Okay. Yeah. And it's referring back to this. These rabbis are saying it's referring back to the moment when Isaac was sacrificed. Okay.
Was to be sacrificed. Yeah.
Was to be sacrificed.
Yeah.
And so that fear of Abraham became the fear of Isaac, became now the fear of Jacob. Mm-hmm. Okay. Again, it's a way of saying that we fear the Lord, and it's not fear in the pachad is not fear like in the English sense of it's
a respect,
cowering before.
Yeah,
it's respect before an authority.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what most of those Jewish rabbinical sources were saying. It's not saying Isaac's a deity.
No,
it's not. It's not attributing that to Isaac, but he's
not at all.
He's saying that this. I think it's covenantal. I say. We have a covenant in my family with the Lord God, and we are honoring that instead of honoring these divine names. Again, all right. What was forbidden in the Ten Commandments?
Well, a lot of things, but you're looking for something specific.
Yeah.
I mean,
do not take the name of your God in vain.
Yes.
Okay. We've talked about this before. What does that mean? It doesn't mean we should respect the name of God.
Yeah.
But so a lot of people won't say Yahweh.
Yeah.
Yahweh, right? They wouldn't say that because
to them that's not respecting.
Not respecting the name of God. I'm not saying it disrespectfully. I have a covenantal relationship with Yahweh. I have a covenantal relationship with Yahweh. I can call him by his name.
Yeah.
He says that's okay. I can boldly go before the throne of grace. Okay, because of what Jesus did. All right. I have a covenantal relationship with him. So I'm not throwing his name around and using his name in vain just by saying it.
Yeah.
What that means is you're not supposed to swear by the name of Yahweh in a covenant.
Correct.
You're not supposed to make a promise or an oath in the name of Yahweh. That's why Jacob is not using the name of Yahweh here. Okay.
Definitely could be a reason.
He's saying it in a different way. He's saying my faith in Yahweh is what I'm swearing on. That covenant I have with him. I'm not swearing by his name. I can't speak in his name. I can't speak in his name. He's Yahweh. He's the Lord God. He's Elohim. He is the El Elyon. He's the creator. I can't speak for him. So he's obeying the law that's in his heart, what Yahweh has taught him in his heart, right? Again, we've talked about so many times this righteousness is there before the law was given, right? So he's obeying these laws that are given before it's even given in a written form, right?
Yeah.
So he is. This is Nathan's take. All right. No rabbi. No, I didn't read this anywhere. This is just what I think. I think he's obeying this righteous law that's on his heart by not invoking the name. Because that's what they did. They would invoke the name of their gods in these. That's what Laban did. All right. But what he's doing is saying, this covenant I have with him, that's what that fear is what he's talking about. The fear of Abraham, the fear of Isaac, the fear of Jacob. That's what I'm invoking. It's not the name of God. Yeah. So I think that's what he's doing. That's my take. What do you think?
I like that explanation better than what the rabbi guys.
Yeah, I do too.
To be honest,
I do too. Because their emphasis is on the law. You know,
yeah, exactly.
The law is the most important thing in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, even it's equal to God almost. You know, so it's almost an idol. So
I like the idea that Jacob's just being careful about how he's using the Lord's name.
I think so. I think that's what he's doing. Okay, so
all right, let's button
Genesis
it up.
31.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm sorry. Did we finish the whole?
We finished the chapter reading it.
Yeah. So Laban kisses his grandchildren, says bye. No mirth.
See y'all later. No mirth.
Peace out.
Sadly,
I'll never see you again.
Yeah,
That
basically.
is sad.
It is sad.
You know, we see my son and his family live in Dubai with my grandson.
Yeah.
But I'm going to see him again.
Yeah, you will.
You know, inshallah, the Lord willing. But Laban knows he's never.
Yeah, right.
I believe I'm going to see him again.
Yeah.
But Laban knows he's never going to see him again. And there's no reason he would ever see him again.
No.
So this is it. He kisses him bye. All right. So Jacob is separated from his land. So covenantally, he is separated from the land that God promised him, right? And then he's exploited. He's oppressed, right? But even through that Yahweh doesn't hold to these cosmic geographical boundaries, right?
Correct.
He's sovereign over everything. So even in this land of Mesopotamia, where Jacob is, according to man, that those other gods are in control here. Now, what does Yahweh say about that? Yeah,
No, I'm over that too.
I created all of them. I'm over that. So he exerts his authority even in this pagan land, right? Jacob is under divine protection, and then it's always pointing back towards that covenant, right? So we're going to talk about how in the next chapter, you know, he's under the God's sovereignty and covenant, but in the next chapter he experiences God face to face, and he's transformed from Yaakov to Israel.
Awesome.
Okay, we're going to talk about. Okay, you can obey because Jacob's obeying. He did what he was supposed to. He was supposed to go marry someone over here, even though he married 4 people, and then had lots of kids, and then he's supposed to come back under covenant, but he still has to be. His heart has to be transformed, right? So the angel who spoke in a dream, he's about to meet face to face and wrestle, right? Okay. Whoa.
I am so sorry. Sorry, my back's a little tight. I apologize. Okay.
So God, some things we can learn.
Yeah.
God delivered. Sometimes in achieving God's covenant, we have to do things different. We have to go different places. Jacob had to go outside of what the promise was. We have to do things that we can't see, you know, how God's going to work it out in the end. God said this, you know, the land of Canaan, this is where the promised land is. This is this is the land I promised, this geographical part of the covenant. But he told him to go over here. He had to go over here for some reason. All right. So that was part of the covenant, is the obedience of him doing what he's supposed to, even though when it doesn't make sense humanly. Yeah. Right. God sees, so he was oppressed. God sees this injustice, and we see this as a theme over and over in the Bible. God sees injustice, and he does something about it. Dude ain't going to just sit back. He's going to do something about it, right? Divine authority transcends these territorial boundaries, okay? In this A&E, and the idea they had this cosmic geography, this God's over this place, this God's over this place, this God's over this place. Yahweh's over all of it, okay? He can exert his authority wherever he chooses to, and he does, okay? So even when we're under covenant and our family we're under covenant, so Rachel's under this covenant boundary, we still can have these idols that we hide. We can hide them under a saddle and try to trick people into making them think we don't have these idols, right? But guess what? Whether we trick them and make them think with that facade that we don't have those idols, where are those idols?
I mean,
just because somebody doesn't think they're there,
they're still
does that
there.
mean they're not there?
Of course they are.
They're still there. Okay, so they may
Lord
be
sees
under
it.
a saddle hidden, and we may trick people into thinking they're not there, right? But they're still there. Okay, we got to do something about that. The angel, and then the angel of Yahweh, the angel of God. This is that second Yahweh figure. This is God physically manifesting himself in order to experience relationship with us. Okay, so in this chapter 31, we see all these themes. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about some application type stuff. All right, what Laban is in our life? What Laban are we still attached to? What are those chains that we still have that we can't get rid of? We can't let go. Where has God told us to return? Has God obeyed and told us to do something to keep us in his covenantal relationship, and we haven't? And if God commands us to return to something, we need to do it. All right. This is a tough one. We may put them under the saddle. We may deceive people to think that they're not there, but what idols are underneath that saddle in our life? And do we trust divine authority over our own human strategy? Do we really believe and have faith that the Lord's going to accomplish what he says he's going to accomplish in our life? Okay?
Good questions.
Okay. So we've already talked about all the things that we learned.
Yeah.
And so we're going to move on to Genesis 32 and see what happens as Jacob continues on this second Exodus.
Awesome. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you guys for joining us, and some good questions to ponder for next week or next time we discuss. And we'll see you next time for Covenants and Kingdoms. Y'all have a great day.
Yeah. Take care.